Nvidia is looking to raise at least $20 billion in its first corporate bond sale since 2021. Joining us now is Bloomberg Tech co-host Ed Ludlow. And Ed, maybe this was inevitable as these giants look to raise capital. Bond markets are wide open for them.
Yeah, there is a question, though, of why a company so flush with cash needs to do this. I mean, our reporting is that they'll use it for sort of general corporate purposes, refinancing existing debt. It's a spanning 7 tranches, right? 2 to 30 years on the maturity side. But just like FA Go, look at how much cash Nvidia's got. It's like a little bit of a head scratcher of why they in particular would need to do it. They have a new sort of lean on shareholder returns, as you know, guys know from the last earnings period. But it is in line with what's happening. You're exactly right. You know, thinking Alphabet, Amazon, and how they are looking at trying to lower the cost of capital and give themselves strategic options, right? Maybe as BI rights to continue in Nvidia's case, investing in the ecosystem of AI startups that rely on their GPUs for compute.
And when you think about risk assets, obviously we're seeing tech off to the races once again, with the off-ramp seeming to come sooner rather than later for the U.S. and Iran. Is the tech sector still in a position that you like, and does this make sense to you?
You know, I think there is a discussion these days about whether or not we kind of come out of this rally again with too high evaluations. When it comes to the big tech names and the mega cap names, really, I think it's about where we look. The truth is a name like Nvidia, look at its forward earnings right now. It's trading at about 20 times forward earnings. That is near its 10-year low forward trading multiple. The low over the last 10 years is about 18.5 or so. So a name like that actually is really attractive to us. Same with Microsoft, trading at 21 times forward earnings. Near its 200-week moving average, a nice technical indicator. And, you know, that's to say, you know, nothing of a name like Meta as well, which has gotten a little bit beat up in this marketplace. And in the AI economy, I think they're well positioned.
Well, the issue with Meta seems to be just, is the spending worth it, especially given how much they're spending. And Nvidia, I wonder this, because I've heard numerous people make this point about Nvidia, that it's been difficult to see it not moving with a lot of momentum. But at the same time, it's nearly a $5 trillion company. I wonder if that's part of it. It's a heavyweight. It's hard to move a heavyweight.
It absolutely is. I mean, ultimately, Nvidia's moves up, if they happen, really have to come with a re-rating of the company as a whole. You know, all the hedge fund managers on Wall Street, if they have to take a short position, because it's the biggest name in the game, it's an easy, you know, one to pick out. And so I think that has kind of kept some of the pressure on Nvidia's valuation being lower than Jensen, of course, would like. But ultimately, over time, I'm really bullish.
The leader in artificial intelligence chips, Nvidia, is planning to raise $20 billion through a U.S. bond issue, making its return to the investment-grade debt market after 5 years, according to a Reuters story, which caused the company's stock to rise more than 2% on Monday. With Nvidia looking for more financial flexibility to support its position at the hub of the global AI boom, the anticipated offering coincides with big technology businesses continuing to increase spending on artificial intelligence infrastructure. 7 tranches of notes with maturities up to 2056 will make up the bond issue, according to Reuters. Nvidia last used the investment-grade bond market to fund $5 billion in June 2021, according to a person familiar with the situation. According to a term sheet examined by Reuters, the company plans to utilize the profits for normal corporate reasons, such as refinancing and paying off current debt. The transaction's bookrunners are Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs. The bond issuance coincides with technology companies investing previously unheard-of sums of money in artificial intelligence. According to industry projections, large tech businesses may spend more than $700 billion on AI this year, up from about $400 billion in 2025. Recently, a number of big IT companies have used debt markets to fund such goals. Alphabet announced plans last month to sell bonds denominated in Japanese yen for the first time, while Meta filed for a $30 billion bond sale in October. Earlier last month, Amazon raised $14 billion, demonstrating its activity as a borrower. Since the start of 2025, the corporation has borrowed over $82 billion to increase its investments in cloud infrastructure, AI processors, and data centers. Demand for Nvidia's processors continues to be a major factor driving AI investment across the industry, despite the fact that the company does not directly run hyperscale data centers on the scale of Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. As competition heats up and computing demands continue to rise, the business has sped its product cycle, producing new generations of AI chips every year. As of the April 2026 quarter, Nvidia reported $13.24 billion in cash and cash equivalents. The favorable perception of Nvidia also extended to the semiconductor industry as a whole. As investors switched back to AI-related companies due to persistent worries about memory chip supply limitations, Micron Technology shares surged. In early trade, the stock was up more than 7%. While other chip makers also made progress, Advanced Micro Devices saw an increase of over 7%. Reports of developments in the U.S.-Iran peace deal, which is anticipated to be formally inked later this week, further bolstered the demonstration. In addition to driving down oil prices, the possibility of a reduction in Middle East tensions also increased expectations that inflation pressures may lessen if shipping through the Strait of Hormuz returns to normal. Reuters claims that a wider recovery in technology and other growth-oriented industries was fueled by the improving geopolitical environment. In recent sessions, Nvidia, AMD, Micron, and Intel had all been under pressure. However, on Monday, investors were encouraged to return to semiconductor stocks due to a mix of renewed enthusiasm for AI and a reduction in geopolitical concerns. Investors might want to keep an eye on if Nvidia shares can recover ground following a 9% decline over the previous month and whether AMD stock maintains the $900 billion market cap line into the close. The next phase may be shaped by hyperscaler CapEx remarks and the upcoming MI450 ramp report. The MI450 series and Helios platform schedule continues to be Advanced Micro Devices' major swing factor after today's session. The Meta agreement to deploy up to 6 GW of Instinct GPUs offers the ramp a clear anchor, and CEO Lisa Su noted that leading customer estimates are surpassing earlier expectations. The bull argument would be strengthened by any updates on shipment cadence or more hyperscaler victories. Watch the release of the Rubin platform, which uses an Intel Xeon 6 as the host CPU for Nvidia and Intel. Because of this cross-pollination, read-through for the entire AI stack, not just Intel shares, is carried out by Intel Foundry execution and 18A volume ramp updates. The AI infrastructure strategy is generally rewarded by today's tape, but which chip name leads into the next earnings cycle will depend on product execution rather than emotion. MI450 ramp statistics and hyperscaler CapEx commentary are important indications for investors to monitor. Although Vera indicates a desire to establish a CPU footprint in Chinese data centers, Nvidia is commonly linked with GPUs for AI and faster computing. For investors, this reintroduces Nvidia to the Chinese AI infrastructure market, albeit through a separate product line that is governed by a different set of rules. Additionally, by emphasizing Vera, Nvidia is moving away from high-end GPUs and toward a more comprehensive portfolio for AI tasks. The company's strategy for balancing GPU, CPU, and networking solutions among areas with export restrictions or other legislative limitations may change if Vera adoption in China picks up steam. Important things to think about. Vera provides a means of utilizing CPUs to re-engage with Chinese AI data center demand. This might change your perspective on Nvidia's exposure to China. Observe how management portrays China in future results calls, any discussion on Vera order quantities, and traction with big Chinese cloud providers. The new product possibility should be weighed against the company's two identified concerns, which include a high level of non-cash earnings and large recent insider selling. Although Nvidia has benefited greatly from the AI revolution, it remains to be seen if the competitors will eventually have an opportunity to catch up. Given how much money Nvidia is making from its GPUs, it makes perfect reason that every large tech company with the means to do so wants to develop its own proprietary chips. Perhaps the custom silicon is more of a release of pressure than a means of outperforming Nvidia, given the impending inference boom. Ultimately, with their newest silicon, hyperscalers are achieving genuine, enormous improvements in efficiency. It appears that AI innovators are about prepared to move on, from Google, whose parent company is Alphabet TPUs, to Meta Platforms' MTIA chips. However, it appears that there is more than enough demand to go around, even if additional suppliers join the chat, considering the size of AI demand and how quickly the appetite for tokens might expand. However, companies continue to use Nvidia GPUs despite the new possibilities, including the hyperscalers that manufacture their own proprietary hardware. What happens then if the hyperscalers close the gap and begin to favor their own silicon while possibly selling it to other parties? That is the crucial question that could keep investors in Nvidia awake at night. Now, capital expenditures are skyrocketing, but who knows? If a period of digesting is required, there may be a pause or reduction in spending in the future. We'll see in time. I do believe that the argument for taking a rain check is becoming more compelling as Nvidia's multiple contracts slightly and shares lag behind their competitors in the semi scene. In addition to being less volatile than some of the other semi stocks available, Nvidia's stock could plummet if the semiconductor industry as a whole collapses. There may be a rationale to the recent surge in popularity of bear ETFs against semiconductors. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve. Long term, I do see opportunities for Nvidia, but I can't guarantee that there won't be some hiccups along the way, or even a sharp decline in the market. When the semifinals will fold is unknown to me. Maybe a rate increase will work. Higher rates are the best way to encourage cutting back on spending, after all. Nevertheless, I believe Meta Platforms stands out as an innovator in AI chips without all the negative risks in the event that semis decides to plummet tomorrow. Meta's AI approach appears to be the most Mad Max, if you will. It's obvious that Mark Zuckerberg is more than willing to serve as a wartime CEO in this AI revolution, even if there aren't rumors of data centers intense, an AI version of Zuckerberg, significant spending on the superintelligence team, or the quick developments in MTIA. And that's precisely why I believe Meta will prevail in the race for AI. In any event, I think the 6-month innovation loop with Meta's silicon demonstrates how committed Meta is to protecting its future with custom silicon. MTIA is highly application-specific, with a strong emphasis on generative AI and recommendation inference. It is specifically designed for its industry and may be the key to advertising's future in the AI era. In any event, things are progressing quickly and in a way that, in my opinion, may be most favorable to spectacular ROIs. If you make it for yourself, maybe others will follow. I believe the entire Meta AI thesis is essentially misinterpreted, with the possibility of becoming a hyperscaler ready to offer AI compute. Shares scream deep value concealed in plain sight at just 20.6 times trailing price to earnings, PE. I perceive Meta's AI as on an aggressive launchpad, but others see it as a bit of a disorganized mess or behind in the race. If anything, Zuckerberg is a wartime CEO who is well positioned to succeed in AI because he invests capital and makes innovative choices that I believe competitors may want to emulate.
Now, as you look at SpaceX, it comes out with this valuation north of $1 trillion. What do you think investors are really buying here when we just talk broadly about the company? Is this a space company, an internet company? Is it an AI company?
Right. Well, I think from our perspective, since the largest portion of their revenue is from the connectivity, specifically the Starlink business, I would view it more as a connectivity company with the option related to the space business and the AI business, which includes both Grok and X. So that's kind of the way I would view it. It really, to me, is a connectivity company, and the valuation, I think, is hinging on the options of the two other smaller businesses.
So let's talk about Starlink first, since they're about 61% of the revenue. You highlighted it's the majority there. They've had their active user growth about more than 60% year over year for the last 3 years or so. How sustainable do you view that growth trajectory in the data that you've reviewed?
So based on downloads and MAUs, it's been pretty consistent, about 60% year over year growth per quarter. So that has been consistent. And I mean, predominantly, most of its MAUs are actually in the United States. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for international growth. So I think there is a lot of upside. But then again, connectivity, if we think about it, if you think about it in the US with Verizon and AT&T, it's a very competitive space. So I imagine it's similar in other regions. So at some point, I would imagine pricing would become something that would be a focus for local consumers as they expand internationally.
All right, and then let's talk about Grok too, because you mentioned Grok and where it stands. You know, as far as what you saw in terms of AI apps globally and where it's positioned itself in this space. It's got about 50 million monthly active users, I think, at last I looked. What's your assessment of its competitive position right now?
Right. Well, just to give you a quick overview of the AI landscape, in year-to-date 2026 alone, AI apps have been downloaded more than 2 billion times, and in-app revenue has hit 3 billion. So they are rapidly growing across the board. Now, in terms of size, however, Grok is in the top 8, but there's a huge spread between it and the top players. We know that most recently ChatGPT hit 1 billion MAUs, followed by Gemini at 400 million. So there's still a pretty big spread, and growth, while it continues to grow, it's not growing as fast as Claude, for example, which is similar size with about 40 million MAUs. So it's a very competitive space, and we also saw that Claude's increase in March related to the crisis in the Middle East shows how much now these companies may be affected by public perception of their corporate actions. And so I think we'll continue to see that kind of competitive space. And I think that the closest runner-up right now to ChatGPT is Gemini, but I think Claude has a great opportunity to continue to grow, because since March, when it hit #1 on the App Store, it's continued to grow very rapidly, and its business is predominantly desktop, which suggests that it's really focusing on the enterprise customer versus B2C, which is what Grok and ChatGPT, et cetera, are more focused on.
So what would investors need to see from Grok to prove that it is a potentially meaningful contributor to SpaceX's overall valuation? Because you said that that's one of the options that really needs to happen here to justify that $1 trillion plus valuation.
Right. Well, if they continue to see in-app revenue growth or subscriber growth, I think that would be a huge plus for them. But if you think about the AI business, it's actually not just Grok, it's also X. And I think our concern from X, based on our data, is revenue ad spend on X is still down 60% from 2021 or prior to when Elon Musk purchased it. And while advertisers have come back, that is a huge revenue stream that is still less than it used to be, and it's significantly bigger than Grok at this moment, right? X has, let's say, 450 million MAUs versus 52 million for Grok, so it's substantially larger. So I would be wanting to see an improvement in ad spend on X also to get part of this option, and I would also keep an eye on Threads, which has been growing rapidly and seeing a bump up in its engagement time. It's still less sessions per week and time spent than X, but it's increasingly growing. And they also benefit from being shown on Instagram from the parent Meta. So I would want to see that for sure in both X and Grok, to sort of get closer to justifying the valuation. I can't speak to the valuation, but given that total revenue was like 18 billion last year, which is substantially less than, say, 760 for Amazon or 716 for Walmart, I think it'll be a while before you can actually justify that valuation, in my opinion.